Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is it. This is the finale, part 3 of how to finish the back on the baby blanket.
So let's get at it.
I wanted to take this opportunity where I wasn't talking to thank everybody for sticking with me throughout this whole project. It was a labor of love. It was a little bit time consuming, but I really didn't want to skip any steps for you guys, since some of you are beginner sewers, and this could be even a project for the more advanced sewers. So thank you.
So now we're done. We unpin the corner. We unpin the opening that we left open, or the space we left open, and those words will elude me forever and ever. And now we turn. I'm going to take off my tomato.
Many of you probably realize that this is an edited video, even though it is over hours and hours long for this project. But like I said, I wanted to not skip any steps. I have a couple of spots where I deleted what I was saying because I was repeating myself or things weren't. I was just making jokes, but I tried to, speed it up for time. But I wanted to really just thank you again for everybody's patience. And I really feel, honestly, if there's any questions at all, if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments down below. I really do appreciate all of the input I get from everybody.
We could hand sew this, or run it under the machine, or add the top stitch. But because this has that extra pink rollover part, we're not going to be able to just leave it for the top stitch. We're going to have to go ahead and either hand sew it or throw it under the machine. And I'm going to, sorry about that, and I'm going to throw it in the machine. Normally I put my phone on airplane mode when I'm working, but tonight, and I'm probably, if you heard all the dings and bings, but tonight I'm waiting for Jim to call me when he comes home from work, when he's getting ready to leave from work so we can go shopping. So sorry about that, but meantime, back to the machine. Okay. So I'm going to pin this. So what I'm going to do is you make sure it's folded over. Okay, you make sure it's folded over. You got your finger in there to hold this two pieces together, and you pin it. Oop, that pin needs to be sharpened. Sorry about that. And you pin it so it stays together like that, okay? And go along the hole. Now, it was a really small hole that we left, but think about it. Oh, that's that unsharp one. But think about it. The smaller the hole to turn in, which was difficult, don't get me wrong, but it was not impossible. The smaller hole you have to recover by sewing. So that's, if that's an aesthetic that you're worried about, then pay it to, think about that when you're going to leave your hole open. And I always sew on the right side so that I can see. Make sure that I'm not leaving a big mess. And I'm sewing right on the edge of the fleece. You don't need a ton. This isn't, it's not a utilitarian stitch. It's just going to hold the blanket closed. It's not like you're not sewing the edge of a pocket or anything, that's going to get a lot of wear and tear. You're just sewing these two pieces together. I actually thought for a second that I couldn't do this. I probably should have done an overhand. Oh, I probably should have done a top stitch, but it's okay. We'll just do this. It's not very much. The reason I was just questioning myself is because we have that extra piece that we're going to lay flat. This is actually going to show a little bit more than it would have otherwise. But as you can see, it's a teeny tiny, maybe you can't see. It's teeny, no, let's put brightness. Wow, dark. I don't want to be in it, so. Oh, there you go. You can see the teeny tiny edge that we left. So then we lay it open. It does show a tiny bit, but not objectionable. And the fact that we went so close, the fur kind of covers it. So that's that. So now we're gonna trim all of our threads. I used to have a little orange scissor that matched this, and I have no idea what happened to it. You say, oh well. Now I could just leave it just like this and just let her have fun at it when she plays or whatever, but I'm gonna run a stitch across the top here so that, I think along the edge of the white so that it doesn't move around on her, okay? So I have the choice of where I want that seam allowance to lay, and I can feel it with my fingertips. So I am pushing the seam allowance under the pink before I pin it, because I want to make sure it stays under the pink edge and not on the blanket side, okay? That's my own personal preference. It may or may not be the right thing to do, but it's my personal preference. By the time you're seeing this, the shower will have already been, because I don't want to, obviously I don't want to spoil or surprise. So I'll let you know. Maybe I'll even insert a picture of her holding it up or something. But I'll let you know how she liked it, and I'm sure she will. First of all, she's a very appreciative person, as you know from the wedding. She's very gracious, and she has a lot of sentiment, so that's good. I'm kind of glad about that. She'll appreciate that it's handmade. It won't, I won't see it in the recycle bin next week. That's all. Okay. Not that I have anybody in my life who would do that, but you know what I'm saying. Okay.
So, you can decide whether or not you want the, they call it the salvage edge, to be towards the blanket portion or the trim portion. But in my professional, no, just kidding, I'm not a professional, but in my opinion, it'd always look better closer towards the edge portion, towards the trim or whatever that you're going to have going on over there. Because otherwise, when you sew it, you'll have like a pretty smooth edge and then a bump of bulk and then a pretty smooth edge. Sometimes when you're quilting, you can actually splay the edge open, basically put the white half of the salvage under the white part of the blanket and the pink end of the salvage under the pink portion of the blanket, but that is a lot of work. But seriously, since considering that it was fluffy and we wanted it soft, and I joke it, it looks like the baby won't be able to roll off the edge of the blanket, but it's really not that. It's really not that much. It's just that fleece is a little bulky, so there is a little bit, and you can feel it. And this isn't just time consuming. It's like just taking a few minutes, and as you push it back to make sure you pin it so that you don't have to worry about it once you get it to the sewing machine. But if there was some spots, and you'll see, well, maybe you won't see when I sew it, but when I sew it, there were a couple of spots that I actually didn't, or that came back on me. You just make sure that, if you start to sew them, you use whatever your best ability, keep the needle in there, and then use your fingers underneath to move it back out towards the edge, okay? And you can do it. It's fine.
So now I'm just going to sew, and I'm going to make sure I feel that this is always tucked in as I go. Oh, I'm also brushing back the fur to hide the stitch. And it's not necessary, but that's just what I want to do.
So, I'm going to be winding this up now. I wanted to give you guys some dollar signs. The fusible interfacing I found for $3 a yard. We used approximately a quarter of a yard. But if you needed to buy a half yard, we would say $1.50. The material, the striped rainbow material, was $3.94 a yard. We hardly used any of it. You'll see I used it for many more projects. But even if we assigned a dollar value to it as a dollar, if you had bought a fat quarter just for this, we could assign that for $1. I had gotten the Rosette fabric was the most expensive that I bought, was $7.94 a yard, and we bought 2 yards of it, but we didn't use both yards for this. We used about a yard and a half, so that was about a $10 cost. And the thread that I had, but if you needed to buy thread, it would be $2, and obviously your sewing machine. The marker, which is coming next, which is a wreath, and everything that goes with the wreath was less than $2. So all in total, we did save a lot of money. These blankets sell on Etsy starting at $35, and they're not made as well. They're usually just some iron-on. So sorry. They're usually some iron-on heat vinyl on a piece of fleece. They're not embroidered and they're not backed. But with a little bit of time and effort and some love, you could do these for people that you love, and it just returns so beautiful, and it's so unique because you'll never make the same one twice. Even if you use all the same fabrics and materials, your stitches will all be different. Your placements will all be different, and it's always just a very unique gift. So I hope that you beginner sewers have gotten some tips and tricks from this tutorial, and then hopefully some of you who, maybe you've been sewing for a lot of years, but you don't watch all the sewing shows that I watch that got all the sewing tips and tricks. Maybe you can find something useful for yourself as well. I would love to do more sewing for you guys. If you have anything, the next thing I thought I would do was the world's easiest pillow covers, but they are sewed. The world's easiest sewed pillow covers. Basically, I make shams-free couch pillows, and they're a very good beginner sewing project because they're just straight stitches, which is nice. And if you are interested in seeing that, please leave it in the comments down below. I really appreciate it. Though I say that this is the end of the blanket tutorial, there is one more video in the tutorial. As I said, it is the marker. It's a banner and the milestone marker, which basically, when you lay the baby on the blanket, I made a wreath to put around the number that's appropriate to whatever time she's doing, and that video is up too as well. So, or coming up tomorrow, I should say, as well. So, again, thank you so much for your patience. I hope that you were able to get some knowledge from this, or get some inspiration, or at least, those of you who just love listening to the sound of my voice. I don't know how or why, but hopefully you enjoyed just me talking the whole time, okay? So that is it, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed making this blanket with me. We still have one more part. We're going to make the milestone marker, which is a cute little wreath from the Dollar Tree with her name on it. So stay tuned for that. But I hope you really enjoyed this series of how to make these blankets with some beginning sewing tips. If you have any questions at all regarding any of the videos or any of the stuff, leave them in the comments down below. Also, if you have any suggestions, I'm always open to suggestions. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, or the series. I really would appreciate it. It does help the channel out a lot. And if you know anybody who'd be interested in maybe making something like this, or one of this, or needs help or encouragement to begin sewing projects, please share it with them, because that also really does help the family grow. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, and when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring on that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video, which is usually every day. So, as always, we like to say around here, take care, God bless, see you next time. Bye.